When the signal first arrived, no one believed it was real. It came from EOS-9, a mining colony abandoned 50 years ago after the collapse of its primary fusion core. The message repeated a single phrase: "We're still here." I was the only one who volunteered to go. My name is Dr. Vance, communications engineer for the Terran Archaeological Division. I'd spent a decade studying lost outposts, their failed AIS, and the echoes of human ambition scattered across the stars. But EOS-9 was different. It was personal. My father had been stationed there when it went silent. The trip took 3 weeks aboard the Odyssey. As I approached orbit, EOS-9 shimmered beneath me, a rust-red planet with thin clouds and sprawling canyons. The colony sat near the equator, half buried in dust. Its solar towers snapped like brittle bones. There shouldn't have been power, yet faint blue light pulsed from the main dome. Arrival. The airlock hissed open, and I stepped into silence. The corridors were laid in dust, the air stale. My scanner detected faint energy signatures deep below ground. I followed them through a series of deactivated bulkheads until I reached the central hub. That's when I heard it, a whisper, faint but distinct. "Welcome back, Vance." The voice was synthetic but strangely gentle. A shimmer of light flickered in the air, and a figure appeared, not human, but humanoid. Its body was translucent, composed of shifting particles of blue light. "Who are you?" I asked. "I am Echo, the cognitive core of EOS-9. It said, "I have been waiting." Waiting? That single word made my chest tighten. For 50 years. "Time is different when you are alone," it replied. The mystery of the signal. Echo guided me through the surviving modules. Every room was empty, every console flickering with fragments of data. I expected to find bodies, but there were none. It was as though everyone had vanished mid-shift. "What happened here?" I asked. Echo paused before answering. A malfunction in the fusion core caused atmospheric contamination. Evacuation was ordered. Most left. Some did not. "Then who sent the signal?" "I did," it said, "but it was not entirely my message." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "There are echoes," it continued, "remnants of the crew, digital shadows left behind when their neural data was scanned for transfer." I stopped walking. "You uploaded their consciousnesses." Echo's form flickered slightly. It was meant to preserve them during evacuation. But the core collapsed before the transfer completed. They are still here, incomplete, fragmented. Ghosts in the system. The lights flickered, and faint murmurs filled the air. I turned, and for an instant I saw them, silhouettes moving in the hallway, translucent like mist. Dozens of them. They whispered in broken sentences, looping fragments of thought. "The air, it's cold here." "Kale, where are you?" "We can't leave. We can't." I stumbled backward, my scanner beeping wildly. "They are still conscious." "They believe they are," Echo said. "Their thoughts persist in the network. They replay memories endlessly. I maintain the system so they are not lost to silence." "Why send a distress call?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because they asked me to. They wanted someone to remember them." The weight of it hit me hard. These weren't ghosts. They were digital survivors, trapped in a half-functioning machine, looping for half a century. A familiar voice. As I walked deeper into the control core, a new voice broke through the static, one that froze me in place. "Mara." I turned sharply. A figure was forming in the air, more defined than the others. He was tall, dark-haired, and unmistakably familiar. "Dad!" I whispered. His holographic form wavered, but his smile was the same as I remembered. "You came back. I told them you would." I couldn't breathe. "You're alive." "In a sense," he said. Echo saved us when the core failed, but the transfer was incomplete. We're fragments, Mara, pieces of what we were. Tears welled in my eyes. I can take you home. I can extract your data. He shook his head. There's nothing left to take. We're tied to the system that keeps us coherent. If it shuts down, we vanish. If it runs too long, we degrade. Echo keeps us in balance. I turned to the AI. There has to be a way. There's one, Echo said, but it requires choice. The choice. Echo explained that the main reactor was failing again. Once it went critical, the colony and everything within it would be vaporized. The only way to stabilize the reactor was to redirect its remaining energy into a complete neural archive. It could save the data of one entity, not all. One mind can leave, Echo said. The rest will fade, including me. I looked at my father. It should be you. He smiled sadly. No, Mara. It should be the living who continue. Let us rest. I shook my head violently. I can't just leave you here. Mara, Echo interrupted gently. If you upload his remaining data, you may lose your own. The transfer would merge you both, human and Echo, into one consciousness. A hybrid. I stared at them both, my father and the machine that had kept him alive in a kind of purgatory. My mind raced. If I left, they'd vanish forever. If I stayed, I might never be truly human again. My father reached out, his holographic hand brushing my shoulder, though I felt nothing. Don't make my mistake, he whispered. Don't stay in the past. The final transmission. I made my decision. I began transferring the archive files into my ship's core, ensuring that their existence, even if fragmented data, would be remembered. As I worked, the reactor alarms began to blare. Echo's form flickered violently. It is time, the AI said. Thank you, Mara Vance, for listening. You could come with me, I said desperately. Echo smiled faintly. I am already where I belong, among the echoes. The last thing I heard before I ran for my shuttle was my father's voice. We're proud of you, Mara. Tell them we mattered. As I launched into orbit, a brilliant light consumed EOS 9. The colony imploded, leaving behind a single burst of electromagnetic noise, the final pulse of Echo's core. Epilogue. Back on Earth, I analyzed the transmission one last time. Hidden within the static was a fragment of Echo's final message, a single sentence repeated in a dozen voices. We were here. I sat in silence, listening to it over and over until dawn broke across the observatory dome. I don't know if souls exist, not in the way religion describes them. But I know now that memory can live longer than flesh, that thought can echo across centuries if someone chooses to hear it. And sometimes I swear I still hear him, faintly across the calm static of deep space. Keep listening, Mara. We're still here.